What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and this one will break down what's going on with NIO stock, what you should be watching for moving forward. I'm also going to talk about Tesla stock. It breaks down something very important coming out for this week. Now, before I say anything, let me first mention that I am not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends very soon, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. All right, so NIO has this negative divergence that developed, and we are starting to see NIO sell off as of right now. Now, looking at this imbalance down here, there's a good chance we're going to see NIO drop just below $10 into like the high nines. So there is technically a shorting opportunity. Now, that is your choice. I'm not going to hold it against you if you do want to short NIO. I believe that a small position worth like thousands or even tens of thousands is not going to really affect a multi-billion-dollar company that much. So I just want to call this out as just one potential opportunity. Looking at the MACD, it is suggesting that there is going to likely be more downside. But look at the 50 EMA right here. This is going to likely act as a pivot point. So if it breaks below this, that's going to give you confirmation of this move to the downside. If not, if it tries to bounce, it could try to bounce a little bit first and then start dropping. So it's going to be one of those two. I just wanted to call this move out, at least for the time being. Now, if it broke below this like imbalance support around this 9.9 area, it's going to come all the way down to like 9.5. That is once again quite a move to the downside, which could be very, very, profitable if you are trading options. But anyways, I want to talk about something else that's very important. During this time, I know NIO is losing some strength. It's cooling off a bit. You should not really worry about it because there are other opportunities, firstly. And secondly, just look at NIO on the bigger time frames. NIO was a $7 stock just a couple of weeks ago. This thing was in the sevens a few weeks ago, right? In the middle of June, NIO was worth $7.60. Now it's at 11 and it's cooling off down to 10.55. It is still way higher than before. Got a nice rejection off our daily 200 EMA before coming down. And if anything, it cooling down a bit is completely normal. It's not really that big of a deal in my eyes. It still is well above the $7 level. So what's going to determine how NIO moves moving forward, the biggest factor for the short term is going to be how the whole market performs, how earnings are looking, which dictate the market, and then NIO's deliveries in just a little bit over 2 weeks. That's going to be very big. There are very high expectations for July, so we're going to just have to wait and see on that. But for this week, I know NIO may be a little bit slow. It may cool off a bit. It may come down to like the 9.9 level. There's going to be opportunity in Tesla, however. Now, at the time I'm recording this, Tesla's at about 280 a share. It didn't end up coming down to fill this gap. It actually held up quite nicely. But remember, we're starting to see something very different. Volume on Tesla started to die off during these days. A couple of days ago, when Tesla was dropping, it just lacked volume. And now volume is starting to return, and we're seeing more aggressive buyers stepping in. Tesla has earnings on Wednesday after the market closes. So very soon, Tesla has earnings in just a couple of days from now. Typically, what happens is Tesla sees a big surge in volume and lots of buyers start to buy in and push this thing up. There's a high probability that's going to happen again because that's what historically happens. And to add on to this, I just want to add that if you look at the market started selling off on Friday. Look at SPY. It's currently red, barely flat. Tesla's up almost 1%, starting to outperform the market. It's getting buyers. It's gaining strength. It's already showing signs that it wants to push up more, approaching its earnings. So what levels are you going to be watching for? Well, just for reference, you're going to be watching these levels right here. There's some resistance. If it gets above this 285 level, 285 to 286 has resistance, then 288 and then 290. And then the next level is going to be very close to this like 295 area, but the last time I checked it. And basically, it's going to get very close to 300 if it manages to break above, like, if it's very strong and it breaks above 290, we could see it pump very hard. Now, why is it so, crazy in some people's eyes? That's because, Tesla is a stock that many people are starting to look at differently because margins have not been that great for them. They're likely not going to be that great. But it also depends on guidance, right? Guidance is going to be very important too. I just want to add that Tesla managed, despite coming down for the last couple of days, it managed to break the high it made, and it still is technically on the daily chart on an uptrend. It has not broken this uptrend truly, okay? What is concerning, though, is there's a negative divergence developing, but it has not fully developed yet because Tesla is still breaking highs, which means even if Tesla pushes up higher and higher, it could still be in the process of developing. Then we're going to see what happens after earnings. But I'm not saying that you should like load up on calls for after earnings or anything like that. No, I'm not giving any financial advice, by the way. But what I'm saying is when we approach earnings on the 19th of July, okay, we have earnings coming out. As we approach it, it's going to likely start pumping to the upside. It's going to likely get closer to at least 290, if not 300 or higher than that, maybe. But around 300 is very possible. Okay? There's opportunity to make money on the way up, especially with the high implied volatility. Premiums may be high, but they can always go higher as this thing likes to pump like crazy right before earnings. That's what typically happens. We could see 300 right before earnings. But then after earnings come out, Tesla's going to make a big reaction and may pump up higher. It could even crash. But that's the opportunity for you to just like, not financial advice, by the way, but I'm just saying you could exit those positions you entered like right around these lower levels right before earnings. Because it's kind of risky to be holding through Tesla's earnings. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. That's why you need to be properly hedged and be very prepared for anything. And the reason for that is because we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Tesla is going to likely do well. The expectations are going to beat EPS by 6%. But the problem is margins, they're not looking too good, in my opinion. They had a lot of price cuts. I don't know if Tesla is going to continue to cut prices if demand is continuing to pivot because of the high interest rates and the high cost to borrow money in general to like take on loans and etc. So I don't know how earnings is going to go for Tesla after this like 19th of July period. Things become less predictable. It all depends on earnings. But as we approach the big date, there's likely going to be upside for Tesla. It looks good so far. It's holding up. We're getting buyers. It's outperforming the market. Things are looking quite nice for the stock. All right. So I'm only calling out Tesla because not only is it a great company, but if you're a person that typically trades like NIO, there could be opportunity to look at something like Tesla or something else just for trading. If NIO dips more, you could always buy more and more shares. And just remember that if NIO drops, if NIO does very well after deliveries again, this thing is going to start pumping. Look at how much NIO pumped since it announced its deliveries. Right here on July 3rd, you can see NIO pumped to about 10.4. It came down, went all the way up to almost 11.32, which is a pretty big move considering the fact that it was in the 9s not too long ago and the 7s. So it started pumping, approaching deliveries. It started doing very well. And we're going to likely see more pumping for the medium term if NIO does very well for deliveries once they come out in the very beginning of August, which is just a couple of weeks away. All right, guys, so that's my view of NIO. There could be a lot more upside coming later on, but for the short term, there may be some more downside, just a very healthy pullback, nothing out of the ordinary. And if you want to play NIO, you could. If you want to buy the dip on NIO, that's up to you to choose. But just know that there are other opportunities such as Tesla, where you could just play approaching earnings, enter and exit calls, or whatever you want to do. It's your choice. You can even sell puts if you want. It's your choice, right? I just want to call this out, and I just want the best for everyone. All right. Thank you all for listening. Have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day. NIO and Tesla to the moon. Its long term is very, very bright. And peace out.